We are live, everyone, for a new episode of the Electrek podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by Seth Wintraub. How are you doing today, Seth?
I'm good.
All right. And this episode of the Electrek podcast is sponsored by Pidigo. For July only, save up to $500 on Pidigo e-bikes, including their newest model, the Avenue. You can go in the show notes right now to click in the link in the show notes to get to their store, to find a store near you, and take advantage of that $500 off. You want to have an e-bike this summer. They're so fun. And Pidigo is nice enough to sponsor the podcast, and they have great e-bikes, so go check them out. All right, let's jump into the news this week. There's going to be a lot of just EV deliveries numbers because Q2 is over and everyone has released that, including Tesla. But also we're going to delve into Ford, Rivian, GM, Fiskers, and all the EV automakers these days. But first off, let's do our weekly check into the NACS takeover, we're calling it. And this week, not nearly as much news as last week about NACS, with all the charging station company jumping on board, including Electrify America, then Volvo and Polestar and all that. But this morning, we had a nice surprise. Mercedes-Benz announced the adoption, and they're jumping on board as the first German automaker to do so. Last week, we did discuss that Volkswagen was like signaling that they were in discussion with Tesla about it, so it looks like they're going to move forward, but no one had pulled the trigger just yet. Mercedes-Benz have pulled the trigger. Again, almost copy-pasted announcement from the others, which is starting in 2025, NACS as standard plug on their cars. Next year, adapter available to Mercedes EV owners so they can take advantage of the supercharger network in North America. Mercedes had their own little announcement about the expansion of their own effort to deploy charging stations. So it was already announced that they were building their own network, one of the few automakers to do so. But like I said, it's pretty pale in comparison to what Tesla is doing. They're talking about 25 high-powered chargers, but that's 2,500, but that's the station. It's about 400 station in North America. First one are going to come in Q4 this year, so at the end of this year. So in comparison, like Tesla is already over 2,000 sites in North America. So you can see why they want to switch to NACS. And in this case, they're talking about both NACS and CCS chargers at their own charging Mercedes branded charging station. So that's something we're seeing from charging station operator right now. Throughout the transition, they're going to want to have both to support their existing fleet and also just not to signal people not to buy their EVs that have CCS right now. That's kind of obvious. But everything points to a complete takeover from NACS. I would assume that next week we're going to have at least one other automaker to announce that is going to join on board.
Who's next? What's your best guess?
I mean, Volkswagen having signaled that last week, it would make sense. And Mercedes putting the pressure for the German. But I would like to see an Asian one, maybe like some Hyundai or a Nissan or something like that to jump on board. That would be nice.
I know Hyundai's got some issues with the 800 volt, 400 volt, 800 volt stuff, but they also make a lot of EVs.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, makes sense. All right, we want to jump into the delivery numbers. We're going to start with the biggest one, and this is going to become, I think for everyone that is not aware, which I think most people are, just how much of a lead Tesla has in delivery numbers. It's become it's going to become very apparent here when we start discussing the others after Tesla. So Tesla has announced that they had 466,000 deliveries in the second quarter of 2023. So it came a little bit as a surprise because the consensus was 448,000. So Tesla beat that by almost 20,000 units. And it also beat the previous record of 422,000 units. So they came in very strong. Model S and X gained a lot with 19,000 deliveries. But obviously, Model 3, Model Y is still the bread and butter at 446,000 units. There's a discrepancy of about 14,000 units in terms of between deliveries and production for Model 3 and Model Y. which we've been seeing a growing inventory for Tesla too. So even though this great performance by Tesla, there is this inventory issue that is building, and Tesla is trying to address it with a little more incentive. This week, Tesla added a cash discount on the referral program for the Model 3, Model Y. So this is something that was already in place for Model S and X at $1,000 discount and 3 months of free full self-driving program package. Sorry, now they are bringing that also to Model 3, Model Y for when you buy one through a referral link, and they are doing a $500 discount if you use the link to on both Model 3, Model Y, both new inventory vehicle and new orders, and $650 in Canada. So and also on the referral side, they boosted the credits, because all you get for referral is Tesla credits, and it went from 2,000 to 10,000. So that's a big difference. And we're gonna see if it's gonna have any use. So Seth and I were a bit talking about this before the show, about how useful the incentive here is, how big of an impact it can have, because obviously a cash discount on the buyer side is big. It's basically a way to just discount the vehicle without discounting the vehicle officially. You're doing through the referral program, okay? So that literally lowers the cost of buying the vehicle. But the big thing with the referral program, the usefulness of it has always been like the fact that the owners will push for it. They become salesmen, literally. Now on this side of things, like it becomes easy now to actually to convince someone to use your referral code, because you're gonna get $500 if you use my code. But then, do you get this this free cell phone? Not free, obviously, but cheap. Owner-based sell force with this 10,000 credit per referral, because what do you get out of those credit? I think for the first one, like everyone at least wants one, because 10,000 credit would be useful. You can get like a wall connector for that. So you get a free wall connector, which will work a few $100. So that's nice. But then once you get one of those, you generally don't need two or anything like that. Unless you want to get into like selling them and make a few $100 every time. Maybe you want to get into that trouble. I don't know. Then you have the free supercharging miles, but those you can get. So you can literally get right now. You refer one Tesla Model 3, Model Y, you can get a free wall connector and 2,000 miles of free supercharging. So that's pretty good. So that's an incentive to do it. But then the free supercharging miles, they last only 6 months. So if you don't use your 2,000 miles in 6 months, you lose them. And you still have some leftover credit at that point, so you can get like a few entries into the Cybertruck raffle. But then after that, it's a bunch of like lifestyle accessories. I guess you can get a T-shirt or whatnot. So I don't know how incentivized people are gonna be. Like I said, they're gonna be incentivized to do one, because that one is nice. But after that, you're like, all right, like I've taken part into the referral program, and like accumulating the credits doesn't have any value. Like Tesla is actually banking on you losing your credit. So we are very far, obviously, for the Roadster days. But I feel like they could be like something in between, like a discount on upgrading your Tesla, or maybe even discount on like just buying a car in general, like accumulating enough credit to buy a car or something like that. That would make sense to me. You can just make it like more like a higher level than the Roadster. What was the Roadster? Do you remember, Seth? 20?
I think you had to sell 50 cars.
Yeah. I think 50 was you get one for free. That was quite high. Yeah, like too. Also, like 50 was.
It's a lot of cars, so.
Yeah. I mean, you could do that, but that's for a $250,000 car. You could do that now, 50 for like you can get a new Model 3 or a new Model Y or something like that. That would make a lot more sense for Tesla, money wise. And I think like a free car, everyone like goes crazy for a free car. Like it's good marketing. So you get people to go out there. I don't know. So these 10,000 credits, I don't know how much. I
Well,
think everyone's going to want one. But at the same time, when you think about it, if every Tesla owners refers one friend, it's a few million new sales. So it's not
yeah,
bad either.
I was gonna say, like, we are not the typical, you know, Tesla people, the people that Tesla wants to go out and sell a vehicle. We have a lot of people in the world that um, we talk to. So we sell, a lot of Teslas when we use our referral link. Um, I think a typical Tesla owner maybe sells one or two every, 6 months to their friends or family. Like nobody's going to be selling five unless they have a huge Twitter following or whatever. Um, so the free wall adapter is solid. Um, wasn't there was not anything about full self driving, right? Like that's not one of the gifts.
Yeah, you have upgrades. You can upgrade your car. I don't know if full self-driving package is in that upgrade. I don't have access to it. You should see on your phone. You should be able to see in the upgrade section because you have you still you have one car that doesn't have full self-driving.
No, all
So
mine have full self driving.
all
I
your
got
car.
rid of the Model 3.
Oh, so that's right. Your
I
Model 3 right now.
sold it
Uh,
for Rivian.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, it says all my upgrades are sold. So that I bought all my upgrades, so I don't have access to it. So I don't know if that is in there, but I would assume if it's if because of what other upgrades are there? They're autopilot, enhanced autopilot, I guess.
So
But
we got Cybertruck raffle, Tesla sipping glasses,
yeah, there's a lot of those.
supercharger miles,
But
lifestyle,
you can switch to the upgrade section.
belt buckle, huh?
But for me, it doesn't. It shows nothing for me.
And then accessories. I got the roof rack. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, if you need some of those, there's some accessories that
The head
are
track,
valuable in there.
interior liners, I guess.
Yeah,
CCS combo adapter. All right, now
well, but a lot of these things, like Tesla owners, will already have them if they really need them.
right. Yeah,
So
that's true.
it's all. So most of it, like some people would be more interested in just in things that they bring actual value to their car or to or upgrading your car. Like the big ones are supercharger miles. Like the supercharger miles, I think would be a great incentive to have in there if you just either remove the expiration date on it or increase it a lot more, because I think Tesla's goal is just for you to let them expire, because
Right.
2,000 miles in 6 months. I know some people, plenty of people do use that, but for a lot of people, it's just uh, it's not that often that you use a supercharger network. You use it if you go on a road trip or something. So
Yeah, they don't have the acceleration boost, which you would think they would put in there.
yeah, all the
So,
upgrades should be able to be unlocked through that.
and then also, there's no wheels. That would be another thing, like winter tires.
Yeah, you see the things that are useful, like if you need them, it's not on there.
Right.
So I think there could be a lot more like Tesla could do with that in terms to incentivize the people to go out there and generate referrals. I understand your point about like Tesla just wanting for like the average owner instead of the influencers,
Right.
but I know personally a bunch of non-influencers that also like increase their efforts to get referrals um, when the incentive were there. Because you have to remember, obviously, I think most of the people that got roadsters for free, got Tesla told that they have roadster for free. No one has gotten anything yet, or influencers. But there was also a discounts on the roadster. You'd get every referral that you get $1,000 off the roadster or something like that. Mm,
Yeah, everything was 5% off, maybe.
yeah, a few percent off. Yeah,
Yeah.
so way more than $1,000.
Right.
And a lot of people I've gotten like a few of those. Oh no, I remember you needed to unlock the supercharger discount. Like you needed to reach a certain number of like the secret referrals, that the secret awards that they were talking about.
Oh, right.
Remember?
Yeah.
So you needed to reach a certain number before that. but it wasn't that high. I think it was like 5 or 10 or something like that. Which, like, if you go out there, if you go to the gave test drive to people in the Drive Electric week and things like that, just that alone, anyone could get a few from that. So there's the incentive could be a lot better, I think.
What are you sitting on free supercharger miles wise right now?
They all got expired for me.
Really?
Yeah, in May. A
Oh,
million.
mine are still there until November 24th. I have 250,000, 262,000
Yeah,
miles.
I'm not sure how that worked. I think maybe like your last referral of that program was like later than mine or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know how that worked, but mine a million miles expired in May.
So what I was thinking is, what if somebody added me to their account? Like, could they just use my free miles?
Oh, well, they would need to put their car on your account. Yeah. I
No,
mean, that's not hard to do these days, though.
no. I mean, you could just invite somebody like Turo
Yeah.
does that.
Well, no, you can invite them to drive your car. That's not the same. You can add a driver to your car, like have their Tesla account, but you would need to put your car, their car on your Tesla account.
Right.
Yeah. I
You know,
mean,
I should get
if
that Brandon Flash guy who's just drives around Teslas or drives around EVs all over the country. I should get him to add me and just see if those free miles work for him.
yeah, I mean, you should, yeah, you should start. You just buy a bunch of Tesla and put them on what was it called? A
Turo?
Turo,
Yeah.
like Turo, and like make it free free mileage with supercharger on there. Like there's money to be made in there.
I was thinking about keeping my Model 3 for that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I didn't get much for it. I got $25,000 for it, which, it was a 2018, not great shape because of the paint job sucked. Rear wheel drive, long range though. So I don't know. Kind of feel like
yeah.
I blew it.
Well, we're gonna talk about that a little bit later on because I got my Model 3 estimated, and
Yes.
I wasn't happy about that either. We're gonna get into that. Other things that Tesla is doing right now to boost sales too is that it sounds weird, but it's actually something that's going to help sales. It changed the standard color for the Model 3 and Model Y. So for years and years and years, it was white since 2019. So that's 4 years of white Tesla. So you can go to any big cities in North America and Europe now, really, and you would see within 5 minutes, you can see like 10 white Teslas around because it's a standard color. Everything else would cost at least $1,000 or more. Before that, it was black. Tesla switched it it was black for 2 years, and then Tesla switched it to white. And now after 4 years, they just switched it to midnight silver, aka gray.
Yeah.
And yeah, they went right between white and black, like a nice mixture of white and black, but they call it midnight silver. So now it is the standard one. White starts costing $1,000, and then if you get the red or the blue, is $1,500. But
I'm in full agreement with Jeff Lee, our top commenter on that, saying maybe time for new colors.
it's long been time for new colors. But Tesla like that streamlined, easy to do, not too many options. They love that. But it's gonna, at least it's gonna be a change. Like, you're gonna see a lot more gray Teslas around now instead of white, and it's gonna boost sell because if you were looking, you didn't want the white, you wanted, or I mean, obviously specifically wanted the gray, or you just didn't want white. The car is $1,000 cheaper now, so something to consider. So yeah, even though I don't think I mentioned it when we talked about the Tesla sales, but even though it was a record sales, we have sources that says in North America, Tesla didn't hit its goal for deliveries. Like, China helped a lot, and there was a bunch of markets in Europe that hit. Markets in APAC, like Australia, had a good quarter, but they didn't hit their number in North America, and they've been putting a lot of pressure on the North American sales team to do so. By they, I mean it's Tom Zhu, the new head of automotive at Tesla. I don't know what his official title is right now, but unofficially he's basically the number one guy for automotive at Tesla in terms of sales and manufacturing, really, because he's leading the Gigafactory projects in Mexico and in Texas. But he's also driving sales since January of this year. And he was in charge of sales in China too before that. And in terms of retail performance, China is the gold standard for Tesla. That's where they have the best retail performance. And now they want to replicate that in the US, and they're just trying to see what will do it. And one thing that they've been experimenting with in China, which is going to be surprising, is Optimus. They've been putting Optimus in some stores, and it's been increasing foot traffic and customer engagement. And Tesla realized that and they just posted it actually for this conference, where they brought Optimus with their cars, and the Optimus was getting more attention than the cars, even though it's not even a working prototype. I'm not talking about working prototype too, just to be sure. I had the what's the moron? Gordon what? The guy that's been like doomsday Tesla for forever, supposedly a Wall Street analyst.
Johnson or something?
Yeah, Gordon Johnson, I think is his name. He was freaking out when I posted this article. He like had a tweet storm about how I should be like the ACC should go after me because I'm reporting them that they're about a product that it's not real. It's like, it's not. We're not talking about robots like helping customers in stores here. I'm talking about display unit bringing customers in store. Completely different. Anyway, but it works. It does work. People are more like, the same thing happened with the Cybertruck. And Tesla didn't even have the Cybertruck in store, but the Cybertruck and the all the media around it and everything, and people like reserving it, brought people to Tesla stores and helped with traffic and helped with buying other cars. That's how it works. And now Tesla is experimenting in China with the Optimus to do the same, and they want to replicate that in North America. So check out soon in your local Tesla store. You might see an Optimus in display. But apparently, again, only displays unit. They won't be working. If something's going to work, might be the arms. They might put like working arm prototypes in there. So you may be able to shake their hands or something like that.
Ooh.
I'm just guessing at this point. All right. Full self-driving. So I just hinted to that earlier, but I was hearing a lot about Tesla not valuing full self-driving package very high on its own trade-ins. So when you trade in a car with Tesla, having full self-driving in it wouldn't change much of anything, which was very frustrating to owners. And now what they added this mention recently, where in the trade-in estimate, they say it includes the value of full self-driving. So they have to like mention it for people so that people stop arguing about it. I always argue. I asked my the girl that did the estimate. She texted with her, and I asked like, why is it in there? And it's like, oh, it was just so that people know it's in there. Like, so like there's no. It's just so that people stop arguing. It's like, no, we are valuing this, but it's not very complicated. You just have to break it down. So this is $41,200 is what they are offering me for my Model 3 in Canadian dollars in Canada. Now, you have to keep in mind that FSD in Canada is $19,500. So you have to include that, or at least like a discounted, like used version of that, even though I haven't really used it because Tesla hasn't delivered it. But in that $41,000, so almost half of the value of it here. And that $41,000 so my Model 3 Performance, which is still in very good shape, by the way, but it has 47,000 kilometers on it, which is not even that much for 2018, sorry. If you configure it new right now on Model 3 Performance, which doesn't get that much more than my version, like the Model 3 hasn't changed that much since 2018, it's $73,000 Canadian. And then if you have the same options as mine with the FSD2, it's $96,000 brand new. So Tesla is extremely devaluing the car, but also FSD itself, which obviously I paid less than $19,000 for.
What did you pay? Do you remember?
I want to say it was like $4,000 more than Enhanced Autopilot. So I paid for the Enhanced Autopilot too. So like the two together, maybe like $6,000.
Okay.
Something like that.
Do you think they're giving you 6,000? Like, do you know what
Not
your same car?
6,000, because looking at, I had a few what initiated this article is I had a few people that have not this exact same car with the same mileage and everything, but a Model 3 Performance 2018 with within 20% of the same kilometers on the odometer, and they would get a value of pretty close to mine without FSD. These cars didn't have FSD. They will get between 5 and I think there was one that was like only $3,000 less, and it had more kilometers than me. So that would value FSD at less than $3,000. But for the most part, it looks like there's no way they value it at more than $10,000 for sure, which would be more than I paid for, but a lot less than the $19,000. And so there's two school of thoughts here, and especially you can look into the comment section of that article, by the way, you get a lot of people debating this issue. But the idea is like, okay, but you do devalue the FSD too after the fact that you bought it, even though Elon claimed, I'm putting aside the claim of the appreciating asset here, like that's going to be for lawyers to discuss in court at some point with people, I'm sure, because he did make that claim. So people are going to make the argument against it. Anyway, it's that Tesla is just fairly valuing what the market is willing to pay right now for this car, which is completely fair. However, the thing that hurts me is that Tesla sold me that package with a certain promise behind it, is that this car is going to be full self-driving at some point, and never delivered on that. And still values it at $19,000, but only when it sells it to you, not when you buy it back from them, when they buy it back from you. So that's where the thing is. So you literally selling a product that you're not delivering, and you're even willing to buy back that product for less than they bought it from, even though you never delivered that product. There's no other way to say that it's not cool. Like, I understand that it's not completely like Tesla is just operating as any automaker would with trade-ins, or at least dealership would, really. So Tesla basically is its own dealership. So that makes sense. But you have to also take into account the fact that Tesla is selling a product that doesn't deliver. I cannot get around that, really. One thing that it doesn't fix this. Like, Tesla should just fix this and should value more their FSD beta and trade-ins. There's no way around that. But one thing that would remove a lot of the complaining out of it, if you would just let us transfer FSD to a new car.
Yeah, especially at such a high, like, expensive rate. I mean, honestly, like, the idea of trading in my Model Y right now, and not ever seeing full self-driving, even though I paid for it, is like, it's like painful. Like, I wouldn't, like, I think I'm going to keep that car forever, because I just want to see full self-driving hit it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, and then the same. My Model 3 right now, I would be perfect. I would want to upgrade it to a Model Y or a Model S. I would be like perfectly willing to do that. The only thing is, like, I'm not gonna buy FSD right now for $19,000.
Right.
There's no way I'm gonna do that on the new car.
But at the same time, full self-driving probably is never going to work on hardware 3.
I have my
I mean,
doubts
hopefully,
about
like,
that.
there's a lawsuit that comes out that we get money back, or like maybe an upgrade to hardware 4 or something. I don't know. What's the best case
There's no
scenario
retrofit
here?
that's gonna happen. That's for sure. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, I've been saying for years that Tesla should just offer refunds right away for people that want to buy. But that's not even. I'm not even asking for a refund. Like, that's not even what I'm asking for, because like I would get a few $1,000 back for, and Tesla would regret. Like, I wouldn't actually right now. Now that I think of it, if Tesla would allow me to, like, would give me back my $4,000 and just put me on the enhanced autopilot package, I would be fine with that, because I use enhance autopilot more than I use FSD by
Sure.
far. But anyway,
What about the choice? Hold on. What about the choice of getting your money back or being able to take full self-driving with you?
I would take full self-driving with me,
Yeah,
especially if I
same.
can get a new car
Right.
that
New
has hardware
hardware.
4.
Right.
Like that would make a ton of sense, and that would drive sales like crazy for Tesla
Right.
too. Like
Well,
a lot of owners, older owners, would upgrade at no cost to them. Really, like it costs them like the insane gross profit that they would make off of that car from people not buying it, but you still make your regular non-FSD gross profit out of it, because Tesla has positive gross margin on these cars, and it's not because of FSD. Like a very small percentage of people is buying FSD right now. I think last time we saw some figures, it was like less than 15% or something like that. So it's not what Tesla's driving Tesla sales right now.
I can't imagine anybody spending that much for what is, essentially a broken product. That
Yeah.
that I mean, it should work at some point in the future, but that's a lot of money for a risk.
Yeah,
I
almost $20,000 in Canada is crazy. It's a brand new car. So yeah, but if you allow like, and also it makes, just for like goodwill, it makes so much sense, because you've been, I bought this package. You told me that I was gonna get a car that's full self-driving by then. With that package, you didn't deliver that. I'm telling you, I'm willing to buy another, despite all that, I'm willing to buy another of your products. I just want you, the lie that you told me, or maybe not the lie, but the grossly misleading timeline that you gave me about it, I just want you to transfer that to my new car that I'm buying, that I'm giving you money for. It sounds like so reasonable of a deal,
Yeah,
that
it
would
makes
make
no
so
sense.
many Tesla owners happy, and especially a lot of people that have become like delusional, no, not delusional, but disillusioned about
Disillusion, yeah.
Tesla. Yeah, a lot of like you see that a lot about Tesla fans that have been fans for years and never owned a car, and then they own the car and then they start getting some problems with Tesla and everything, and like they start being okay, like it's a normal company that gets their normal company problems and all that.
Like us.
Um, yeah, like us, and and that would. But a lot of people like us are still giant fan of Tesla because of what they've done for electric vehicles, and because they still do extremely great products. And we're going to get into that in a second too, when we compare the sales number to these other automakers. Just you do that, and it's such it would go a long way. You would kill a lot of complaints, and you would boost sales like crazy. All right, we're gonna while we're still on the FSD topic, Elon still decided to make some comments about FSD this week, and we decided to post about it because even though it's the timeline is the same, he claims that full autonomy is achievable by the end of the year. Tesla, the wording, we've been dissecting the wording every time because the wording is very important, and there's a few new wording here that I think are worth diving into a little bit, but we're gonna go briefly because the subject is getting annoying at times. Is that he said, in terms of where Tesla is at this stage, I think we're very close to achieving full self-driving without human supervision. So this is another. So when he says full autonomy, it's full self-driving without human supervision. This is only speculation. Of course, he always has these little specification, but I think we'll achieve full self-driving, maybe what you would call 4 or 5, I think, later this year. So this is a little bit more precise because, when you literally had a term like full in front of a self-driving like Tesla and sell that as a package, you murky things. You make things a little more blurry. Like you blurry the lines. Like why do you need to put full in front of self-driving? The car is self-driving or it's not. Like it's not. Anyway, but one thing that is useful for that, even though it's not the perfect way to categorize self-driving system, is the SAE chart of levels of self-driving that has been mostly adopted in the industry. And now he mentioned 4 or 5. Previously, especially when this was first adopted, Elon has talked about 5. Like there's him on record saying that, promising buyers who buy a car with FSD right now that they will get level 5. I think now anyone other than like the more hardcore Tesla fans would agree that 5 is completely unachievable, because what 5 is full self-driving without supervision under any condition. All you need is drive a car in the Northeast, a Tesla vehicle in the Northeast on autopilot in the winter, to know that that's not going to be achievable, because there's a little snow, a little slush around, and you get an alert on your cameras being covered, and autopilot not being able to activate or perform well. So that happens all the time. So until Tesla has a solution for that, and that obviously not going to be a software solution for that, is going to have to be a hardware solution. And there's rumor that this is going to be the case, like with the hardware 4 and Cybertruck. They seem to have things to blow on the cameras and all that. So there's solutions for that out there, but they are hardware solution. They're not on the existing vehicles that, again, were promised FSD. Level 4 is maybe achievable, though I think level 3 is much more realistic for Tesla, even though Elon seems to be completely uninterested in level 3. Level 4 is full self-driving under no need for human supervision, and almost any condition, just not any condition. So there is limitation. You can like geofence. Like level 4 is what Waymo and Cruise of achieving with their geofencing. So they are limiting an area where, okay, in that you should be able to handle any condition, but within those parameters that the taxi service operates at. So this is obviously a lot of value, but that's not what Elon has been promising. But in this case, he says 4 or 5. And the fact that he just says that like 4 or 5 casually like that lets me think that he doesn't even know the difference much,
Right.
Which is upsetting, obviously, as someone who's been promising level 5 for years, not to now seems to care to point out more exactly if it's going to be 4 or 5. 3 is the same, but the car can request human supervision with an understandable delay of switchover between human driver and the system. But all 3, level 3, 4, or 5, they differentiate from 0 to 2 by the system taking responsibility over the driver. So there's no human supervision needed in some operation. Again, level 3 and 4, there's limitation. And level 3 being you can even request the driver to take over a reasonable period of time, which sounds a lot more like what FSD is right now, just without actual responsibility Tesla is taking and with a need for supervision, because you can see often like you're driving with FSD and the car without any easy to detect for human like obstacle and stuff like that, they will say, hey, you need to take over right now. Okay. But that's not what he's talking about, obviously. So I don't know. Obviously, I've been saying that for a while now, but I don't see a jump from the current FSD beta to a level 4 or level 5 at this point anytime soon. We've been talking about Dojo recently. So that's one of my rare hope with FSD is that maybe this is going to accelerate it. But even then, later this year, we're already more than halfway throughout the year. So we're talking about a few months at this point. Like,
I don't know why he keeps saying it. Like it just
it's delusional, right?
Yeah, I mean it's like a meme at this point. It's like that, Simpsons meme where they're like, say it again. It's say,
Mm-hmm.
it just, and even like if you go into like the crazy Tesla fan subreddits and on Twitter, there's still like there are some people that are still like, oh, it's gonna happen, but most of them are like, why doesn't somebody just tell them to
Yeah.
not say that anymore? Like, this is embarrassing me. Like, I have to go out with my Tesla attire and stick up for Elon, and this is getting really difficult because like the reality distortion field just doesn't work that well. So I don't know. Like I don't get it. It seems like he's just pushing the reality distortion way too far.
Yeah. Because on the investor day, he had a good point to me, like where to explain why he kept getting this wrong, where they keep hitting a local maximum in the development, and you don't know that you're in the local maximum until you know, and that
But at
created.
that point, you should say, okay, I don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, because you might like, so why are you thinking now that you're not in one? Like
Right.
you haven't in one. So, and the pace of improvement that we are seeing, if you're being completely honest with it, doesn't indicate anything soon.
Right.
So, like, obviously he knows more about this than me. He knows more about this than probably anyone that's outside of Tesla's self-driving team. So maybe he knows something that is gonna drastically increase the pace of improvement soon. Again, Dojo might be one of them, but that's like,
But he's already lied like 10 years in a row.
yeah,
Maybe not lied. Maybe he's optimistic,
over
but
optimistic. Yeah.
he's done it 10 years in a row. It's not like going to change this year.
Yeah.
Like it'll change one year. That there's always going to be a time in the future where that's going to be true, but it's not from like we know what our cars can do right now, and it's just not realistic.
Mm-hmm. All right. Before we jump into our other stories today, we're gonna have a quick word about our sponsor, e-bike makers, Pedigo.
All right. This week's episode is sponsored by Pedigo Electric Bikes, America's #1 electric bike retailer. Pedigo believes in making e-bikes easy to use and incredibly fun to ride. That's why they offer extensive selection of over 20 e-bike models, each with endless customization options. No matter your style or preferences, Pedigo has the perfect bike for you. That includes the Avenue, the company's newest model designed with a classic European look paired with modern features. It has a 500-watt motor, a 48-volt battery, and a range of up to 56 miles on a single charge, making it perfect for commuting or leisurely rides around town. The Avenue comes in both 28-inch classic and step-through frame and a 26-inch step-through frame, making it accessible for any rider. With over 220 stores across the country, staffed with knowledgeable local experts and dedicated service technicians, Pedigo ensures that you receive personalized attention and support every step of the way. Pedigo also offers a 5-year warranty on all e-bikes, which is among the longest in the market, maybe the longest. In July, Pedigo is running an exclusive promotion for Electrek listeners. You can save up to $500 on their bikes, including their newest bike, the Avenue. So go visit pedigo.com/Electrek to get access now or hit the link in the show notes. Thanks again to Pedigo for sponsoring.
Yes, thanks, Pedigo. All right, we're gonna jump into a bunch of stories about the delivery numbers for the second quarters for a bunch of automakers. And then we're going to take your comments and your questions. So if you have any comments and questions, you can put it in the comment section right now on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you're listening. And we're going to get to them in just a few minutes. All right, the first one we're going to get into. Well, before that story, we want to discuss real quick this. I don't know how. It's a weird one. So a bunch of automakers in China have made a pledge to uphold standards in the industry, and it's a bunch of different, like there's a 4 main point that they discussed, and those automakers include the Tesla, Dongfeng, CIAC, BIAC, GAC, Geely, BYD, NIO, XPeng, all the automakers that produce vehicles out of China, really. And they made a pledge to abide by all the rules and the regulation of the industry. So I hope that should have already been the case, that they will pay attention to the marketing methods, not to exaggerate or condone false marketing. So that has been a problem with electric vehicles at times. So probably a good point to add. Third, we put quality first, use quality-oriented, high-quality product and service to meet people's need better. I mean, that should be like just your goal as a company all the time. Fourth, we'll actively fulfill our social responsibility and take active roles in helping stabilize economic growth. I guess the ESG stuff, whatever, ESG.
Mm-hmm.
But part of it was also the pledging to, how they phrase it, to not further to not complicate the price war that's already happening in China, that reduce the prices of electric vehicles, which they say was kind of an unofficial one. It was kind of the goal of this pledge, really. It was like the unofficial goal, even though that those were the 4 main points, that the unofficial goal was to, hey, let's stop this price war, which I mean, in the U.S., they would call that a cartel, really, like a price cartel, and it's illegal in most places to do that. So obviously, in China, things are a bit different. But I thought that was an interesting little development for the Chinese EV market. All right, we're going to start with GM for the deliveries numbers. And GM had the Bolt, obviously, is still the biggest driver. They had 15,652 EVs delivery total, and the Bolt EV and EUV accounted for almost 14,000 of those. So the vast majority of them. And the rest was the Lyriq with about 800, if I remember correctly. We should have posted a chart. I meant to tell Scooter and Peter about that all these articles should have like a nice chart instead. Yeah, about 968 deliveries for the Lyriq. And the Hummer EV is on a tear right now. It went from 2 in the first quarter to 47 in the second quarter. So that's a massive increase. But again, we're talking about GM all into electric vehicles, and they have fewer than 16,000 EV deliveries in Q2 compared to 466,000 for Tesla. So yeah, it's still very in its infancy. Obviously, the Ultium is just starting up, but we need to see a big ramp up here.
GM is just not ramping. They did a little bit of a ramp with the Bolts, but if Mary Barra keeps saying that she's going to catch Tesla in terms of numbers, and they just are not making any kind of volume.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the Lyriq and the Hummer are both like high cost, low volume things, but like they're just not able to ramp. And recently they announced, so the Silverado EV is late. It still hasn't launched. It was supposed to launch in spring. The Blazer SS is no longer a thing until next year. They changed the summer launch to just regular Blazers, which is probably a good thing, lower prices. But overall, it's just really disappointing to see GM over and over and over again, just keep missing deadlines, keep slipping. And then they're doing things like they are petitioning the environmental, I can't remember the name, but they're petitioning the U.S.
The EPA?
Yeah, the EPA to lower the requirements of 50% EVs by 2030, which seems like a really low barrier. Like, GM is all in on EVs. Well, come on, guys. Like, seriously, you really need to get your act together. Like, it's really hard to just toe this line.
Yeah, because I mean, I would think that in 2030, GM could be in a good position too with their EV business, but you have to look at the short term here. And with the Bolt going away at the end of the year, and the Bolt representing the vast majority of their EV sales right now, the launch of all these new cars, the Silverado and the Equinox and the Blazer, the ramp up needs to happen fast to have any kind of significant EV output from GM. Otherwise, with the Bolt EV going away, they're screwed. That's kind of why probably they are petitioning to lower these standards, because without the Bolt EV, they might have a tough time for a while until they ramp up all those programs.
Yeah, and it's also frustrating because they're doing well on their internal combustion sales, and inside they're going, put all the money on the the easy thing for us to do, and that's gonna disappear really quickly. And every electric vehicle sale that Tesla makes, Tesla's almost doubling every year, so they're just chomping up market share from GM and Ford, and every delay that GM does is just like, that's a smaller company in 2030. That's going to be a smaller company. Like every single. So, like in the short run, like they'll have some increases, but in the long run, GM's becoming, a non-factor.
Rivian, better news on this side of things. With the company went from producing just 9,000 vehicles last quarter to almost 14,000, just 8 short of 14,000 out of Normal in Illinois in Q2. So that's a massive 48% increase quarter to quarter. So good on them there. And also they were able to deliver a lot of those. So that's been a problem with Rivian. Just like Tesla, they need to deliver most of the cars that they produce, otherwise they find themselves having paid for the car that they produce and not being able to declare any revenue from that, which makes them look financially really bad on those quarterly results. But this time they delivered 12,640 of those 14,000 vehicle delivered. So good on there too. And they still believe to be on track for 50,000 units in 2023. And so what do they need for the second half? So 9,000. So they are over just over 21,000 right now. Yeah, okay. It's still a tough task for the second half of the year, but doable.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the stock is obviously going up. It's been up, I think, a whole week in a row straight. I think they are starting to eliminate some of the bottlenecks in their supply chain. It sounds like
Mm-hmm.
they're getting some real production numbers happening. Anecdotally, I got mine a little bit early, my R1S a couple weeks ago. I see a lot of other people getting deliveries online. Um, and like there's always been like tons of Rivians sitting at the shop there, and I'm always like, well, where are all the customers for these? Like, why don't you get these on the road? People are waiting like crazy. And I guess, they also had to hire up a bunch of delivery people. My delivery person came over from Tesla. But I think the whole supply chain from, sourcing batteries all the way to the delivery guys, like they needed to really kind of up their and continue to up their headcount. And I feel like they're like at a place right now where they're going to hit their yearly target and probably go beyond it a little bit. And then, you know, the sky's the limit from there.
The only thing, so playing devil's advocate here,
Hmm.
I think since they have the Enduro and like the cheaper model, but it's still all high end stuff. Still, it's still expensive vehicles that they have. The problem with Rivian is I think they're gonna need these interest rates to go down a bit, because I think the market right now for these higher end vehicle is getting smaller and smaller just because it's hard to get a loan that makes sense for it. So they've been banking on their 70 plus thousand reservation backlog, but it's been more difficult to get these people to pull the trigger because completely different macroeconomics since
Hmm.
when they place those reservations.
Yeah,
So
you mentioned the Enduro. They also have the R2s coming out next year,
mhm.
which everybody said they're going to be much less expensive. They're going to also have an LFP battery pack, which will make things a little bit cheaper. Although I don't know if you're going to get the kind of range that you really like. You mentioned the Enduro before. I think they could sell the Enduros for the same price as their four motor stuff because they get much better range.
Mhm.
And I think people would trade the range for what I don't even know what tricks the all four motor vehicles do. Like they took away the tank turn, and
Mhm.
there's like rally mode and drift mode and stuff like that. But I feel like you could do that with just two motors. So I think it's getting better for Rivian options going forward. Although I agree with you 100%. They need to get those prices down.
Yeah, yeah. So those things coming next year are gonna help the LFP, the R2, and all that. But I think like some things, if they do reach the 20,000 units, like if they can produce in Q4 20,000 units, for example, I think they're gonna have a tough time selling 20,000 units of R1S and R1T in a quarter in these current conditions.
I disagree on the R1S. I
Yeah.
think there's enough demand there,
Mm.
especially if Kia doesn't come out with their EV9 and the Volvo EX90 is also not out. But I agree, the R1T is already kind of saturated.
All right, moving on to Ford. So Ford has been out of the legacy automakers, has been one of their approach I prefer the most to electric vehicles. But the numbers have still not been there, and this one was kind of a disappointing numbers for their EV sales in Q2. So it fell 2.8%. F-150 Lightning sales reached 4,466 unit in the second quarter, which a lot of people like clap because it's up over 100% from last year. But last year they started production in that quarter, so like it's not a big deal really to be up. Of course, earlier this year they did stop production too, so that kind of affected the ramp up. But they say that they're back to full capacity, and they say that June was the biggest month for the F-150 Lightning. So at least some silver lining for going into the second half of the year. But 4,466 F-150 Lightning, like a year into production, is not that impressive to me. Like I would have liked to see the Lightning like in at least the higher five figures at this point.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the last quarter maybe last couple quarters where Ford is not competing with Silverado.
Exactly, good point. Yeah.
They're not competing with the Silverado has 450-mile range.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more than Ford. And then obviously the Cybertruck is coming as well. So
Mm-hmm.
like this is their opportunity right now. They the full size market is theirs, and that's pretty weak.
Yeah. And then the other big program, EV program from Ford, the Mustang Mach-E, this one is down 21% year over year. So that's also disappointing. But they say that the VP of sales distribution said that they saw an improved delivery inventory flow at the end of Q2. So again, they seem to be hopeful for the second half of the year. You see, June was the biggest month for the Mach-E too, but June is just a big month for car sales in general. So
I would say one thing Ford needs to do is get their dealers in order. They've been gouging the heck out of the customers, and they have no idea if they're getting a good deal or not. And that's for me, that's like the biggest pain point.
Yeah, because right now it doesn't look like a great EV business that they have. Obviously, it's going to go up from there, but in 2023, I thought Ford would be a little bit in better position at this point.
Yep.
So we've been going like good news, bad news, good news, bad news. But back to good news, it's Polestar. Polestar has been had a very strong Q2 with over 15,000 deliveries, up significantly from last quarter. They had 12,000 deliveries, which already was a great quarter for them. So now they are they look good for the second half of the year for their goal to have between 60 and 70,000 vehicles delivered. First half of the year total of just short of 28,000 units, and of course that's before that's just with the Polestar 2 and the Polestar 3 deliveries are starting second quarter.
They're not.
Next year.
Yeah, next year.
I thought it was this year.
No, they were delayed as well. They're on the same platform as the EX90.
That's right.
So yeah, they're selling a lot of Polestar 2s.
Yeah, it's just with the Polestar 2 right now. It's pretty impressive just for that vehicle program. Though it did get a lot cheaper recently too. So that helps.
Like the rear wheel drive only.
They're supposed to give me one to test long term soon. I haven't had news on that. I know that they were in Quebec. They were on like a test drive tour. Finally, Fisker, they fell short of their delivery goal with actually, I don't know if they even released delivery numbers, or at least we didn't have them here, but the production number was 1,022 units in Q2, which was short of their goal of between 1,400 and 1,700. So they say they note supply chain issues for that, but they expect to work through them through the second half and ramp up production to what's the delivery goal or production goal for the year? Expect to produce 14,000 maybe in early July. What was that? That's not a goal. Early July. Anyway, we don't expect any significant volume from Fisker anyway.
Right, and they're being made at Magna as well.
Yeah. All right. Lastly, before we jump into your comments, we're gonna have a quick wrap-up recap. Last week, when we did the podcast, Seth was doing it live from Kansas at the Electric Formula Sun Grand Prix, but it was still ongoing. And the biggest days were actually on the weekends. So, what happened since then, Seth? Can you catch us up?
Yeah, Aaron and Steven were there from our team. We made a nice little video there. The there's two teams that won. Obviously, the Florida team won in the single occupant vehicle category, and I don't know if you've heard of this place, Montreal, won the
Polytechnic.
yeah, won the multi-person occupancy. Yeah, so it was a great race. Love to see like college students all like coming together. Like, for instance, one of the cars had been broken down for like a day, and the students got the car running again. The whole place was erupted in applause. It was really good to see like the camaraderie and the competition. It was just a really fun time, like seeing all these people geeking out on solar, on propulsion, batteries. A lot of Electrek readers there. We met a lot of fans. It was just a really good time. Topeka is probably not on a lot of people's radar, but if you are in the area, it's certainly fun to go to. We'll be there again next year, hopefully. We haven't worked out any deals yet, but what I would like to do is like kind of they have Tesla there. Tesla's a sponsor and Blue Origin's a sponsor. So and they're both just recruiting there. And one of the recruiters was telling me like going to a place like this is like shooting fish in a bucket. Like it is just so easy to find really talented people, really like hardworking, smart engineers. So like I'm like, well, that's obvious. Like he kind of started from this. JB Straubel and the first members of Tesla's team came out of Stanford's solar car program. So like, why aren't more people going to this thing? Spending a couple $1,000, setting up a booth and hiring these your super talented kids. So we're gonna try to give them some help and try to get more people to make it a bigger event for corporate sponsorships and stuff. So
Cool.
yeah, that's what we're going to try to do next year, and it's a ton of fun. So hopefully
It's
you can make.
Still in Topeka next year. It's all.
They have the Grand Prix in Topeka, and that's kind of the qualifying event for the larger event, which is like a 600-mile like riding through the West. I think they're going to do national parks. So it's going to be 2 events next year.
Okay. Nice.
Lots of fun.
Looks like it. Yeah, try to make it next year.
All right.
Jump into the comment section. Questions.
All right. Nick Cedar, question. Will somebody be making a NACS to DCFC extension cord for non-Teslas? What would throttle the charge rate to 50K for a Bolt, the Tesla side, or the car charger? Would the cord then not need cooling? Well, it's a lot of amps coming through the superchargers, so you're going to need a pretty thick wire anyway, even at 50 kilowatts. So it's not going to be like a extension cord you'd find at like Home Depot or whatever. It's going to have to be dedicated, but maybe it makes sense. Maybe Tesla's adapters that they make for Ford are actually like 4 feet long, so that they can actually plug into the supercharger and Ford's F-150 Lightning, which I think they had a hard time connecting up than the YouTube videos I've seen.
Yeah, that's been a suspicion of people for like, since the adapter is going to be short-lived anyway, for at least the production overall, since once you cover the market and everyone has switched to NACS, it's not a useful product anymore.
Right.
It wouldn't make sense to have it work for the existing vehicles that don't have the plug at the right place.
Right. All right, I don't quite understand this. I bought a Tesla to J1772 plug 80 amp adapter with lock for under $80 today. I think the
I
80
have
amp
one.
adapters is. You have one of those?
Yeah, I think I have one of those. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think it's the same adapter as the 40 amp one. I mean, it's not
Mm-hmm.
rocket science. It's just a piece of metal and a piece of plastic. All right. Tesla should just post a standard OEM NACS agreement online. I'm guessing Elon told the lawyers to negotiate no concessions. I was told that from a car maker that there's a standard 10-page agreement that Tesla sent to all the OEMs. So maybe they'll post it. They'll probably post it on Twitter. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Moving on. I just sent Tesla a proposal yesterday to help them with hydrogen refueling stations that are also
All right, we can skip this one.
Good luck,
I,
buddy.
I get some of those like every day where people like think that I can help them send a proposal to Tesla and everything. I'm like, first of all, I can. So for second of all, they don't care about it. Like, have you ever heard anything Tesla said about hydrogen for years?
Yeah. All right. Richard Cool says 6-month free Twitter Blue account with purchase of Model 3 or Model Y.
Yeah,
Only 6 months.
it's worth
That's
$40.
yeah. I like the Quicksilver Tesla color you can get in Europe. Yes, that is like a multi-layer paint job.
Yeah, that's night and day. That's different. Yeah.
I think that what did they call it? Dark silver?
No, I think it's Quicksilver. I think
No, but what
that's
do they
it.
call the new default color?
Midnight Silver.
Midnight silver. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah, they're
fancy one.
different. They're way different.
All right, Carl in San Diego. It's kind of pathetic that car companies upcharge $1,000 to $1,500 for color paint. In essence, that makes their base prices BS. We experienced this with BMW i4 too, but upcharges $650 to $3,600.
So it's the same paint that you get from like the blue, the white one or the black one. So what you pay for is for Tesla having to switch things up and to make those colors. That's what you're paying for. It's not the actual paint doesn't cost more to do, but it is more cost efficient for Tesla to produce just the standard color because they produce more of it. It's that simple. So I'm not upset about that. What I would like is just more choices. Like even if you charge more for like the rarer colors or the one that are less used, it makes sense. But offer more options.
Yeah, I would like to say green, maybe an orange, yellow, brown. Anyway, Tesla will have to hire security to ensure their stupid robots aren't stolen from showrooms. Sorry, galleries.
So it's display units, like they can. Uh,
Put a
I
bike
mean,
lock on it.
I was gonna say who's gonna want to have that. Obviously, I shouldn't say that because there's always someone that's gonna want to have one of those. But it's not like stealing like a $1 million prototype from Tesla. They're dummies. Like you're literally stealing a dummy. So I don't think that's gonna be an issue.
Also, it's sitting right next to a $100,000 car. So
Yeah. Maybe
what
it's
do you
gonna be
think?
an issue if you're in the San Francisco store or something like that.
Right. Question: what do you think of the California Nicola grant? They got like
I
42
think California
million or
loves
something.
to spend money on dumb things.
Yeah.
Like they haven't got uh their lesson yet, because how many times that they built hydrogen stations in California that they just go unused all the time. Like, at least for Nikola, they see a little bit more purpose because it's for their own fleet of commercial trucks that technically would use it more. But I mean, Nikola, you want? I go and Seth sent me that. I responded like, where's Mitt Romney when you need him, and something that the government is picking the loser when they famously said that about Tesla, wrongfully, obviously, but in this case, it would make sense.
Yeah. All right, Rich Tier, there's a problem with Tesla devaluing used FSD software. It doesn't suffer from wear and tear. And more to the point, your car is running current software anyway.
Yeah, that's part of the point for sure. But also, I would add to that software that they like. You're not buying FSD for the software it is right now. You're buying FSD with the hope that Tesla deliver on what it's promised it's going to be. And once they don't deliver that, it feels terrible to like sell it back to Tesla for less than you paid for because they didn't give it to you. it's,
Yeah.
it's so simple, but the Tesla fans, like, even that's where I'll lose Tesla the lot. Like, I lose respect for the ultra fan of Tesla when they defend things like that. It's like you're in a cult when you're defending things like that, because this is obviously wrong thing to do. It's purely like capitalism, like just get as much money as possible without care for what's right.
All right. Here's a possible solution. Perhaps it's best if FSD was just a monthly service that travels with the driver. Decouple it from the physical car. Going
Okay,
forward, yeah.
yes, but too late. You already sold it to a bunch of people with a certain promise of it. So like it's too late for those. Like, yeah, unless you reimburse everyone.
Which they should
Uh,
do.
yeah, but for now, it's not. Like, I would think, like, give them the opportunity to upgrade with FSD before reimbursing them. Like, you're gonna save money there. But
I think it's only a matter of time before that happens, Fred. I think you're right. It's
I mean, there's already class action lawsuits in the way and everything like that. Like, it's
all right.
coming from
Question:
different points.
do you think Tesla is using the subscription cost of FSD to reduce the value of FSD at trade-in based on how many months you have had FSD?
I don't think they can do that. I don't
Yeah.
think that's no.
All right. Mike the Car Geek says SAE 4.5 are more like SAE 3, which some engineers and lawyers want to skip over. That's not true, is it?
But I mean, yes, they are more alike than like three. It's certainly different, but I th- I don't see the argument that there's no value in three. I think there's clear value in three, and it's much easier achievable. I understand that the um, passover from the system to the driver is a complicated issue. There's no doubt about it. But I think there's a way to do it. Let's give like Mercedes a chance, because Mercedes has done it in Europe. It's in place right now. I haven't gotten a ton of feedback from it, but even from our quick test that we did there, like it made sense in traffic. Like, you just activate it, and then you're not responsible. The system is responsible, and then once you get out of the highway or whatever, it switch over and it's back to you. There's value in that. Maybe not $19,500 of value, but
Right.
there's some value.
All right. Level 3 is not easier than level 4. Obviously, if it's for public roads, it should have to handle all human traffic with human being eyes off and up to 10 seconds transition time. All right, let's keep going. Manufacturers know the time it takes to realize AV is failing to negotiate a problem, and for a disengaged driver who has learned to rely on the car to do all the driving, take over equals too long.
I'm
All
not
right.
sure I'm following there.
All right. Let's see. I'm just going to keep moving here.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of discussions in the comments.
GM sales are embarrassing. I agree.
Yeah.
So Mike the Car Geek says R2 next year, no chance. I wonder if that's based on anything, or because Rivian plans currently to release the R2 next year, so, or at least announce it. I don't know what their exact delivery time is. Question. Okay, another nickel up. Fisker delivered more than one vehicle in the U.S. That's good enough for now. Okay, pretty low bar. Another nickel. Jeez.
Yeah, I discussed that.
Maybe we should try to get a documentary team or Netflix or Discovery Channel for the solar race. We have so much dumb TV. It would be great to be follow the students' development and competition. I agree. That would be super cool.
Yeah.
The Optimus robot knows jujitsu like Zuckerberg. It can defend itself. That's hilarious. Duke, when is the next quarterly meeting? I can't find it.
If it's Tesla you're referring to, it's July 19.
Okay. And last question I can find, Carl in San Diego question. If you had to guess the first legacy to exceed EV production higher than Tesla, which one would it be?
I don't think they'll ever catch up to Tesla. There's no Tesla would need to fumble hard, like really hard for someone to catch up. Like the idea that anyone can catch up right now is all based on, like, from the legacy standpoint, is like we're already producing so much more vehicles than them right now. So, like, yeah, for sure, when everything is electric, you're gonna still produce much more car than them. But right now, when you look at their vehicle programs, they're just flat compared to Tesla. Like there's not the like hockey stick curve that Tesla has hit. It's just not there, and there's no like. So I think in like 2 years there's gonna be like big six figures, high six figures, mid to high six figures vehicle programs outside of Tesla. I think that in 2 years, in 2025. But Tesla already has some of those that are not going away. And within the 2 years, they are likely going to have 3 more of those. So that's probably going to be more mid to high six figures vehicle programs than the rest of the industry combined, which there's none right now, by the way, like just so we're clear.
Right.
There's just Tesla as 2 of those. The answer to this is none of those.
Right.
And Tesla's going to have 2 or 3 more within the next 2 years. And probably the rest of the industry is going to also have 2 or 3 of those, but Tesla's going to have already more than that. So it's going to be hard to catch up to Tesla because of that. Again, the only way is that if Tesla fumbles hard, super hard, which I don't see them do. Maybe the Cybertruck is a big flop, but I think it's going to do at least fine. It's probably going to do what Tesla expects it to do right now, which, like as Electrek revealed last month, they're telling suppliers right now about 375,000 units a year, which is a good vehicle program, mid six figures. So, and then they're going to have obviously the robo taxis, which this one could also fumble, obviously, because of its nature being self-driving and Tesla having issues on there. But then the Model 2 is going to be a hit. There's no, I don't think Tesla's going to screw them. Well, I don't want to say Model 2, but the cheaper vehicle, like I remember, like I always remember this. We were at the Model 3 launch and we were like watching the vehicles, like the test drive, and Seth said, like you said, I don't see why people are gonna buy the Model S and X anymore with that in. And I wasn't completely on board with that, but it turns out I think you were more right than I was on this. But I think the same thing is we're gonna have the same thinking with when the Model 2 is going to go out. I think the Model 3s are still going to, and Model Y are still going to do fine just because of the momentum of things. But I think we're going to have this impression of Tesla's going to just take everything that works with Model 3, Model Y, and fit it in a package of a cheaper vehicle. I think that's completely doable.
Yeah, and I think the addressable market right now, Tesla's still a premium brand. When they go down market a little bit more, it's gonna like unlock a whole new audience for them. So I agree. And like you said, Tesla is going bonkers right now, like in numbers. Like every year is, they don't double every year, but it's like an 80% improvement. Meanwhile, like, Ford's down, GM's, down a little bit. Like they're slowing down ID4 production. It's like, it's not going to be even close. Like maybe in 10 years, something weird happens with Tesla and, there's a revolutionary guy at Hyundai, for instance. And
yeah.
So something like that could happen, but for right now, in the next 5 years, I don't see anybody catching Tesla, not even coming close.
No, because you look at what's happening with the ones that seems genuine in the pursuit of the transition to electric vehicles, like Ford, I feel is genuine, and you see what's happening. Like it's hard, and Farley seems to be on board. It's just, and he seems to be like, you recognize what's happening, and it's hard to do. And then you have on the other side of the spectrum, you have Toyota, which is just completely lost in this whole thing, and is just too attached to their ICE business to commit to a transition. And so that's the two ends of the spectrum. There's even at the better end of it, you don't see them catching up to Tesla. So yeah, there's no one's going to catch up.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, like I could see a disruption coming from China.
Yeah, the Chinese are definitely the better equipped to do it. Like BYD,
from a global standpoint,
like BYD just need to change its name probably. So, or at least not use the build your dream on your car. Like just remove that to start with. Just use BYD. That's already going to be a big improvement. There's a lot of things there's just small things that BYD that he could do to just be more palatable to the Western market. I think, but no, I mean, they're gonna do great things in other market though. BYD, I think they don't seem to be tuned into like the North American market right now.
All right.
All right. Well, that's it for us this week. It was a long show, an hour 20. I appreciate every single one of you that's still listening right now. If you are listening on your podcast app, you can click a like, subscribe, whatever it is. You can give us a 5-star review. That helps a ton too. And we're going to see you same time, same place next week.